So when we do a ton of reviews like this in a row, because we just watched like 100 different found footage films, Kaylee always gets to sit here and wonder which one I'm going to spring on her out of nowhere. And you guys get to kind of see her reaction to her memory of that film and get a good sense of how this is going to make her feel.
No, I know what
Be My Cat.
I knew
A film for Anne. So this is obviously a found footage type film, and this is about a very, very disturbed man who is obsessed with Anne Hathaway. And he wants to make a film with her being his cat. He says he has some grand, elaborate master plan for a film that she's perfect for. He'd been searching for the perfect person to be his cat. He had this big idea for a film, and he was always looking for the actress, could never find her. Then he watched The Dark Knight Rises, and Catwoman, I mean, a little on the nose there, but he's a psychopath, so there you go. He is like, oh my God, this is my Catwoman. And so he auditions these 3 different women for the part in his movie. That's what they think. But what it really is an audition tape to try to sell Anne Hathaway on making his movie. So he's going to show her, this is the parts that you'll play, and here's these girls selling you on it. But the girls think they're there for the part, which is already screwed up, of course, but that's the nicest thing he does. Now, this film is first and foremost and pretty much primarily only in existence for the lead's performance. This is why you're watching the movie. He will 100% annoy you. He will 100% get under your skin. He is just... But, I mean all of that in a very positive way. It's a tough watch because this guy's taking advantage of these girls that want to be little starlets, preying on their desires, and he really is a truly sick individual who is one of the most believable psychos I've seen on film in a long time. There's nothing like exaggerated or Hollywooded or over the top for over the top's sake. Everything he says is like repeated 17 times. He is so narcissistic. He is so delusional. And it's a tough watch because it genuinely feels real to the point where there are people like this, and you're getting a very good depiction of what they are like and the things that they're capable of.
Yeah, I think that he probably does give the most believable performance I've ever seen of like a real depiction of mental illness and the delusion and just paranoia and everything that he embodies. And it's very uncomfortable to watch because I've been around, people that have, that are like paranoid schizophrenics and it's not quite like, they weren't violent, like kidnapping women or anything, but the mannerism and the way that he speaks, his affectation, just everything is so spot on to somebody having a psychotic break. And it's, it's phenomenal for his performance sake, but as far as the movie goes, it is super uncomfortable. Just the whole time you're just like, we talked about it a little during the film, but the girls that are there that believe that they're playing in his movie, you just are kind of wondering, like, why are they, like, how can they not see how unwell he is? But the way that he's selling it to them, like, his character is this guy that's obsessed.
Right.
So it's very meta in that way, and you have to think that that the characters are just, telling themselves that over and over again, like, he's, being a method actor, and this is... all for show, but obviously it isn't. And it's just wild.
Well, there's a second layer of meta going on in here as well, right? So we're pointing out, or she's pointing out, that within the film, these girls are led to believe that he's going to remain in character when they meet him, and that they're going to do their performances and he's going to talk to them and whatnot as this guy because he's method and he doesn't really leave that character. Well, this guy in real life is a method actor, and he was contacting these girls via the internet for like 4 months, planning all of this out, talking to them, saying like, hey, we're going to be in character. And he met them, and you see their takes, because he did one scene where he did a few different takes and then maybe another couple, and then he realized like their first take is always the best. So he then adopted that into the rest of the film, and what you see within the film, outside of maybe a couple scenes, everything in this film is first takes, and their only real safety net here was that this is a Romanian film. They speak English and Romanian, and that anytime they're speaking Romanian, that's, unless it was scripted and asked of him to do by them, if they were to ever start speaking in that language, they were supposed to be like, okay, we need to stop. They're getting uncomfortable. But as long as they continued to keep speaking in English, that was kind of like their safe word, right? Romanian was like stop, and being in English was like this. And if to add to that, I mean, the girl in the movie actually called the police on him during filmmaking, though it does say that she really called the police in a kind of moment where she was fully immersed in the role as well, and really did it to call it on his character, and that's what her character would do, which is really odd. But then the cops showed up and issued them a citation for calling the emergency hotline for no reason. But yeah, I mean, what you're seeing in the film, and this reminds us, we were talking about this during about Heather Donahue on the Blair Witch Project, how when she was making that film, she was like, am I auditioning for a snuff film? Yeah. Like, am I going out to meet these guys and they really just want to kill me? So she brought a hunting knife with her, and she was so scared during the filmmaking because she thought she was going to die. That, of course, adds to the authenticity of it.
Yes.
And similar things are going on here, where he just brought these girls in and one takes and just kind of like, here's your motivation and this is what we're doing. In addition to that, within the film, getting back to within the movie, outside of the more meta, outside the filmmaking process, while they're filming this, if you just put aside the horror stuff, right, like what he starts doing to them later, the film is already, if he wasn't a psycho who was like hurting them, it was still a very uncomfortable watch.
Yes.
Just him, like his demands while making the film, and the things that he's saying to them and how he says it, and how fucking how belittling he is.
He's belittling, and it's just, he's so delusional. Like, that's really is, for me, just seeing this man. And it's crazy, too, because I feel like he nails it down to, like, the expression in his eyes.
Oh my
like,
God.
if you've ever seen somebody, like, they're just not there, but he's also manic, and it's spot on. Like, it really is remarkable. And but yeah, he's so belittling to these women. The things that he's saying to them is just awful, but he's so narcissistic and egotistical that, he really thinks that Anne Hathaway is going to be interested in him and is his soulmate, and that these girls are just nothing. And it's intense, to say the least.
Yeah, and it's also, the camera to him isn't the camera. The camera to him is Anne Hathaway. He talks to the camera like it's Anne Hathaway and like it's in real time. Not like, I'm sending you this tape,
right?
Respond to me. It's like, okay, Anne, let's look at this together. Okay, Anne.
Right. Like the camera is a stand-in for her.
Yes.
Yeah, which is even more insane to think, because she obviously is not in any way watching what he's filming.
My question, of course, after and during the watching of this movie was, do you think Anne Hathaway has any knowledge of this film? I was sure she has knowledge of the film. But do you think she's watched this movie?
I don't know. That would be so uncomfortable.
What I would love to happen is I would love for
reaction.
this filmmaker to land Anne Hathaway in a role.
Oh my god.
Playing a cat.
Yeah. It would be
I would love for this actor, because he'd never even used a camera before. So this is just one of those things. Yet again, with found footage, you don't really have an excuse. Like, if you want to make a film, this is obviously the way to do it. This guy's never touched a freaking camera in his life, and but he's just got that acting prowess. My last thing I'll say on this is I definitely think it's a watch for sure, and that it's a rough one for people who are put off to like people being taken advantage of and abused. There's nothing super graphic. It's not like a torture film. There is some. It's more mental abuse than anything. But the last thing I was going to say on this is that this is one of those performances. They come around once in a while where the performance is a little too good to the point where you're like,
sure.
Are you just like this?
I know. I'm very curious.
I hate to think that, because the guy's probably super nice and totally normal and just really commits to his roles. But it's a little too authentic, and I don't know. It makes you question.
It does. It definitely does. We should look up interviews or something with him after and see.
Oh my God. Can you imagine if he was like a totally different person, like completely normal, different voice, different inflection? Because in this movie, it seems like Borat is a psychopath.
He has a pretty heavy accent, and
it feels very Borat to me. Now I know Borat's from Kazakhstan, and this is
sure it's the Eastern European kind of.
It's just
accent.
how he acts. It's not his accent isn't the same. It's just how he acts and how he talks and the things that he says. He just feels like Borat, and but not funny.
No. Nothing about this film is funny at all.
It's unsettling, for sure. And weirdly, it's on Tubi. So go check it out. Let us know.
Bye.
Bye.